Welcome to my YouTube channel and thank you for liking and subscribing below. I want to talk today about victims, feeling victimized, and souls, because everything is a soul. Everything has a soul, everything is a soul, everybody has a soul, and souls are huge and powerful. They're enormous. They're as big as a very large house. They look like red, fleshy kind of heart tissue. And souls are so big, they're having multiple lifetimes at one time. So if all of you who are listening to me, you live on earth, you're having a lifetime where your soul is having lifetimes in other realities. In fact, the soul is so big, you could be having another lifetime, one or two more on earth as well, but different parts of the country most likely, or different parts of the world. Souls are so wise and smart and incredible. They're geniuses. They've had hundreds of thousands of lifetimes, the old souls anyway, like all of you. So they've seen and heard everything. They choose to incarnate. It's a choice. Nobody has to reincarnate. You can stay in some dimension forever if you want to and just learn that way without contrast, the way we experience it here on earth or potentially in other realities. But souls that choose to come to a place like Earth are doing so for very good reasons. Souls are also picking their gender for when they are born, or if there's problems with their gender when they're born, because there are a percentage of children when they're born, it can't be ascertained quickly what their gender is. They might have to do some genetic testing. There may need some surgeries or repairs done, depending if the way that part of their genitalia grew, did it block their rectum or make it difficult for them to urinate? I know this is sound weird, but I'm telling you this for a really good reason. Souls are choosing that too. They're also choosing that. Anything that happens early in childhood or prior to birth is something the soul absolutely 100% chose. It wanted that experience for very good and powerful reasons. And when we look at Earth right now, we're learning to have pronouns and let people be different than a man or a woman or a girl or a boy. I think that's very cool. In fact, more and more pediatricians, when a child is born and it's not 100% clear what their gender is, and as long as there's no surgical repairs required, they're saying, well, why don't we wait and see what the kid wants? Which is a really great answer. So souls know everything. So if a baby is born with diabetes or had trauma during its birth, or its mother died during its birth process, or its father or whatnot, the soul wanted that to happen. And so did the other souls that were involved. When you're picking who your parents will be prior to your incarnation, you're also picking what would be perhaps the best type of siblings. And those siblings are also agreeing to be your sibling, just like the parents are agreeing to be your parents. There's all these really interesting agreements. One of the things that we want to do, besides enjoy a beautiful planet like Earth and have cool experiences that maybe we haven't had before, like choosing a different gender. Maybe a soul has been a male in physical form for many, many lifetimes and now wants to be a female. In fact, I had a client once who said to me, I'm pretty sure I've been a man many, many times because I look down at my body and all the time and go, weird, I have breasts, weird. And I'm sure she was right, that she had been a man many more times than a woman. So there aren't any real victims. It doesn't mean that we don't show or share compassion. Try to get that victimization idea out of your brain. It's just going to lower your vibration. It's not the truth, and it isn't honoring the soul's decision. Souls are powerful. They're choosing when to come in, how, what it looks like, all of those things. They're also choosing their exit. I've talked to people in chat when I recently did a session on the Beyond the Veil for the Shift Network, and I was pretty surprised by how many people who were shocked by what I said. I believe that the soul picks 5 potential exits before they incarnate, because the strongest law in the universe is free will. So even though you've chosen these parents and you're going to have this amount of siblings and you're going to have this disease or no disease in your childhood or whatever you've decided, you have free will. You could become emancipated before you were 18 if you wanted to. That's part of your free will. You could do things to even start to change your gender at a young age if you wanted to. You have free will. You could choose to live with your grandparents versus your parents. There's all kinds of interesting things that you could do. Your parents could choose not to be parents. All kinds of interesting things could happen. And that's something that we know is true in the universe, that everyone has free will. So again, no victims. We're having experiences so that we can grow and expand, and we're working on healing past lives. So we come to Earth to enjoy the planet and to heal experiences from previous lifetimes. And we know what will trigger us. It will make us feel that we have overcome the obstacle or heal the wound by healing things in this lifetime that somehow feel maybe a softer connection to them, especially when you look at old souls who were living through the dark ages and centuries even before then. Oh, however long that was. Like, how far back? When did humans start to come to Earth? Wait a minute, what century? And I want you to know this, not because, again, to not be compassionate. Of course, you're going to have compassion and you're going to be kind to people. But if you stay in this place where you're not honoring the soul, you're really not sending positive energy to others or yourself. When I was a kid, we grew up in government housing. My parents didn't have a lot of money. My parents divorced when we were really young, and my dad left and didn't help out. So my mom worked 3 jobs. She had 5 kids. We're all a year apart. And I remember feeling annoyed that I had to live in government housing, although nothing was wrong. We had 4 bedroom, pretty apartment, I remember, and lovely grounds. We lived across the street from a park. So nothing was wrong, but I was annoyed. I wanted us to live in our own house. I was embarrassed. I didn't like it. And it wasn't really until recently, not that I've thought about it much, because I've also been grateful that my mother took care of all of us, because she could have chosen not to. But recently, I realized how that was a good choice, choosing parents who weren't going to stay together and a dad that wasn't going to financially support his kids. It was a good choice because I really love culture. I always have. I love different ethnicities, languages, food, always have been attracted to it and found it fascinating and interesting. I gravitate towards that. It makes me joyful. And when you live in government housing, a lot of immigrants, as they come to the United States, sometimes that might be their first home while they get situated in the world. It could be a place where they live for a few years. So I lived around so many different cultures, people from all around the world. There was always new food cooking in the apartment complexes that I lived in. Uh, and we didn't know what it was sometimes, like, what is that? What is that? What are they cooking? And I heard different languages every day. There were people of all different faiths and ethnicities. It was fun. It's something that actually feeds my soul, is to be around so many different cultures. That's why I loved a vacation in Europe, because you hear so many different languages while you're laying on the beach, and so many different types of people walk around and are used to cohabitating, countries throughout Europe. So I'm telling you this because I want you to look at something, excuse me, I want you to look at something in your childhood that you thought was, ugh, why did that happen? And that was annoying. And I want you to take away the discomfort, embarrassment, frustration, annoyance, and look at it from your soul's perspective. Was there something that your soul wanted you to experience that you grew from, that really kind of engaged you? I probably felt more at home where I lived growing up because of the culture that was around me. I even married someone who had just moved to the United States. My children are half Middle Eastern. I love culture. So there's something in your own childhood which could help you understand why we're not really a victim. If you can look at it from perhaps a soul's perspective, get deep in your body, kind of rest in your lower abdominal area or your legs, and ask, what did my soul want to experience in my really early youth? What did it want to experience? So you can get some perceptions of what the soul's magnificence, genius, intelligence wanted for you. And as you gain that awareness, it's going to help free you to feel less sorry for individuals who are experiencing something that the human mind says is wrong. Because is it? I don't know. if the soul ordered it and wanted it, I'm sure it was absolutely perfect. Have a great day. Bye bye.